The FitnessGram Pacer test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test. Roll the intro track.
I hate you so much.
Absolute bars.
What a legendary
from
intro right
my
there.
elementary school days.
Oh my goodness.
Hello, friends. We are the Sports Desk, episode 101. If you didn't see episode 100, check it out. It's on the YouTube. We have a special guest today. Also, from the Ravens flock here, we have Mr. Hassaan down on the bottom. How are you doing, Hassaan?
Caw. Ravens flock. Raven flock, let's fly.
Yes. Shout out to that one Justin Tucker clip from the plane.
Racks on rack smoking on that Saints pack.
That's my favorite part about being a Ravens fan nowadays is not Justin Tucker's field goal kicking, because he's making 76% of his kicks right now, but his post-game interviews when Marlon interviews him. Golden every single time. Never change, Tuck. Maybe get better at kicking, but never change.
We somehow dodged him interviewing Justin Tucker after a bad day. Have you noticed that? Like, he never interviews Justin Tucker after he misses a really bad field goal. I guess it's because we don't win, but
yeah, that's usually the case.
Maybe
it's only the victory
just a
lies.
mental thing too. Like if you already know that he's upset about missing the kick, because what else would the kicker be upset about? So it's you just want to rub that in a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, he was short on a 50-yard kick. Usually field kickers, whatever, but he was short from 50 yards.
I don't know what's up with him, man.
I
was
concerns.
listening to a perspective that Ken McCusick had earlier on a podcast, and Ken McCusick was actually saying that how unfeasible would it be for the Ravens to actually spend another roster spot to get Sam Cook in the building just as a holder? Because he was saying maybe some of the issues are as a holder, but I'm not a kicking expert. Even if I was to look at the film 50 times over, I wouldn't know. So
right, yeah, that's the tough thing that you don't know. Is it a mechanical thing? Is it the wolf pack they used to be called when it was Morgan, Cox, and Cook and Tucker? Is it a snapping issue? Is it a holding issue? Is it a timing issue?
The decline lines up with when Jordan Stout was drafted. That is the theory in the film circle, is that they're both kind of. You see Justin Tucker start to fall off as soon as Jordan Stout became our holder, but who knows, man? Really,
yeah.
Who knows?
And how much of that is Tucker getting older? Because he's past 30 now.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that, a lot of his, I don't want to say usefulness, but a lot of his, Justin Tucker's, he's going to hit for the parking lot. He's going to hit from the parking lot.
Yeah. Right.
Hitting the 60-plus yarders against Detroit and the 66-yarder against Detroit and the 58-plus yarders everywhere. And it's if you lose half a step, or the holding issues, probably doesn't matter if it's a 40-yard kick, but a 50-yard kick, 55-yard kick, it starts to matter more.
Yeah.
But this is not a kicking podcast, although kickers are people too, punters are people too.
Shout out to the special teams.
You know what we should these kickers nowadays are crazy. I remember there was an era where it was just Justin Tucker, it was just nobody else. But now you have Aubrey coming in.
Aubrey Butker.
Fairbairn has made 9 50-yard kicks already.
Wow.
It's Halloween.
He's
made 9 of them. He's 9 for 10.
Aubrey's
made 8. Boswell's 23 or 24. His only miss was from 50-plus.
I'm just glad the Rams have a stable kicker again. Josh Carty looks like he's been pretty good. He's only had one really questionable game, but other than that, he's been basically solid.
I want to talk about Chad Ryland for a minute. We can pop up the tiers now, because he made another game-winning field goal, and he's a big reason why the Arizona Cardinals are successful. Chad Ryland, known for missing it a 30-ish yard field goal last year for the Patriots and helping them secure a higher draft position, made 3 game-winning field goals in a month for Arizona. What's going on with the kickers? Everyone has a good kicker besides Green Bay. And I guess Baltimore now, inexplicably.
We need to clear this row.
I think we can move Cleveland up with Jameis Winston.
In a way of trying my best to give him some grace, because he is the greatest ever. It is hard to be critical of him, but every single loss that the Ravens have had this year has a random bad Justin Tucker kick, and it very much contributes to the loss. Even in Dallas, towards the end of the game, if he had hit that kick, there's no need to even have the game on anymore, But, against the Chiefs, Raiders, and Browns now, every single time he has a specific kick in a pivotal moment. And, you're giving the other team a short field because we are kicking it from 50,
Yep.
So it's tough because it's one of those situations where if the Ravens tomorrow woke up and said, or even let's say after the season, if they said, we're done with Justin Tucker, do you know how many eyebrows would be raised?
Yeah, that's like an impossible situation you have yourself in, that it's like where the Ravens were with Flacco for like the last half of his tenure. It's like when Kaepernick was available. It's like, is Colin Kaepernick better than Joe Flacco? Yeah, maybe, but he's not so much better that you replace him, right? And that's going to be the issue, or would be a lot of the issue with replacing Justin Tucker is, could you get a better kicker than Justin Tucker now? Yes. Is it worth the ruffling of the feathers to replace Justin Tucker? I don't know. You probably need like a top 5 kicker immediately, and that guy, it's sort of the Gerard Mayo situation in New England. That's a lot of pressure immediately.
There would be a lot of public outcry.
Okay. All right.
Any changes to the bottom group?
I don't see any need to change anything in the bottom group. Like we said, we moved Cleveland up to the regular season Warriors because they actually look like a football team with Jameis Winston. I'm sorry that you guys had to witness what you did witness last week, but yeah, I guess famous Jameis still kind of can ball. That came out of nowhere. That definitely caught me off guard.
I think that the Chargers are going to give them a smackdown this week. If I'm being honest with you, I think that there's very few teams in the NFL that are capable of losing to that team, and Baltimore Ravens are one of them. Look, I'll say this to you. The thing that I saw on film is they didn't do anything crazy offensively. They kept it very vanilla. Their schematic, like the scheme that they were running, was very surface level, because look at it, like Jameis Winston is starting his first game in however long. Like, it's not like they're doing anything crazy. They gave the Ravens a half game plan, and we weren't able to adjust to it. So, credit to them. They played great defense. Their corners, phenomenal job of blanketing our receivers. So, and you know what? When you avoid turnovers as well, for right or wrong reasons, when you avoid turnovers, you're always going to be in the game. So I can see Splash already like covering his eyes a little bit, but when you avoid turnovers, and that's a recipe to win.
If you play that game 100 times, the odds of there being exactly one turnover in that game is like 1%. Like Lamar had like 10 balls that should have been picked. Jameis had 10 balls that should have been picked. The Ravens officially had 3 dropped interceptions by PFF. I'm sure the Browns had 2. They felt like every other throw, there's a hand on it, through a receiver's hands, through a corner's hands. That was just such a frustrating game. But I think with Jameis, like, even if you're running a vanilla game, you at least have a baseline of Jameis Winston can make NFL throws. With Deshaun, you didn't have that baseline, right? There's the play near the end that Cleveland gets the first down. They move into like fringe field goal territory. Deshaun Watson is not throwing. This is simply put, not throwing that football. He's not step, bang. He's not doing that. Jameis can do that. Jameis will have some of the Jameis moments, right? He's trying to end the game, like missing to Hamilton or throwing to Hamilton right at the end, throwing to Eddie Jackson in the end zone, things like that. Yeah, you have Jameis throws like that, but Watson was doing that exact same thing, but he didn't have enough of the positive. So Cleveland, congratulations, you're up a tier.
Yeah, they deserve it.
Yeah,
they won.
Baltimore, I still think, is in that Super Bowl contenders tier. This is a team that leads the NFL in yards per pass and yards per rush allowed. And the pass defense, I think a lot of the issues are some health-related stuff, that you have both Marlon Humphrey and Nate Wiggins were out against Cleveland. Marcus Williams, we can talk about that here in a minute. And you are missing everyone on the interior of the defensive line besides Matabike now. And a lot of the passing production has come in garbage time and blowout wins. Like Dallas, not exactly blowout win because it ended up being a close game, but like Tampa, for example, ends up at 480 yards. A lot of that came when they were down 20 points in the fourth quarter. You take some of that out. It's more like a EPA per play type deal. The Ravens are not bottom of the barrel there. Not great, but it's much more realistic, I would say.
Yeah. I think my thought on the Ravens from seeing this game and the way it played out on Red Zone, as basically half the games I watch on Sunday, they're gonna be fine. This is gonna be one of those, like, it's a divisional opponent. They're gonna play you a little bit harder than they play anybody else. So I feel like this is just one of those that you kind of take on the chin and move on. I don't mean that as to like burn the tape, because there's obviously things to improve on. Like, I'm sure you guys both can go on and on and on about, and sort of already have in this episode. Baltimore's gonna be fine. I'm not too worried about them going.
You take us back a couple years. I know Splash is gonna remember this. There was a specific game. I believe it was 2019. I'm almost sure it's 2019. There was a game against the Browns in the same way that actually got everybody fired. Patrick Owanswer completely demoted. Kenny Young got sent to.
He was in the Peters trade.
He got sent to the Rams.
Yeah, he was in the Peters trade.
He got sent to the Rams for Peters.
Yeah.
And I actually liken this game a lot to that. I think that this is a game that's going to give them a little bit of soul searching. What can you say more than you're the 32nd ranked pass defense? Come on, there has to be some level of self reflection, and as much as we're annoyed as Ravens fans, as long as Lamar Jackson is there, we are a Super Bowl contending team, and that's just kind of what it is. It's hopefully they're going to have a moment where they sit down, watch this film, because I'm going to tell you this right now. I've sat down in many locker rooms, many film sessions, many times. They did not have a fun day. The Ravens defense got screamed at, and they got berated by all the coaches. So who knows? Like, I think we're fine. We just move. We move.
Yeah. I will point out, when you go on social media and you go into a lot of Chiefs fan sections, and you say, "Oh, the Ravens aren't winning the Super Bowl." Congratulations on your hot take. The Ravens are plus 650 to win the Super Bowl. That, for context, Florida is playing Georgia this week. Florida has a better chance to win that game over Georgia than the Ravens have to win the Super Bowl. So when you pick Georgia, that's not an upset. When you pick someone other than the Ravens, that's not an upset. That's the smart bet. Even I couldn't get the exact odds, but essentially, if you said the Ravens will not win a Super Bowl in the next 6 years, and you assume they're like plus 650, that becomes a positive bet for you in 6 years. So you'd have to say no 6 times in a row for that to be a positive bet for you. So congratulations, you're not breaking any new ground. Oh, what the Browns aren't winning the Super Bowl. Congratulations.
If you remember the hot take-o-meter from days of old, that would be the milk level.
Like, even if you said the Chiefs are not winning the Super Bowl, that's still minus money here.
Speaking of the Chiefs,
number one.
I'm going to debate you on that one a little bit, but yeah.
Okay. I just
that Josh Uche trade, man. I have to say, that was a great trade. It was a great trade.
That was a really good trade, yeah. That's going to help them out a lot going forward. I just feel like the Chiefs, a lot of their wins this season, to me, have sort of felt like games that they could have lost. I mean, I've said that basically since the start of the season. Basically, the one thing that like we've been preaching is that like the Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs. They're going to win these games because they have like such a well-oiled machine. It doesn't really matter like if Patrick Mahomes is having an off day or if the defense is having an off day or whatever it is. Like someone on that team, as long as they are clicking, the Chiefs are going to figure it out. They're going to figure out how to win the football games where they're not playing at their best. They have the coaching staff to do that. They have specific players to do that at different positions around the team. With that being said, I've seen a few games lately where it feels like the Chiefs are beatable. Maybe not necessarily like, actually don't know where I'm going with that sentence, but so I feel like they're not. I view my argument is going to be Detroit for the new number one. I sort of like think about Detroit and how they've played as of late, and it feels to me like I would probably take the Lions the way they're playing right now over the Chiefs. I feel like the Lions have been a bit more convincing in terms of their wins lately. Granted, they did play the Titans last week, and that's not great competition, but you got to beat what's in front of you. And I always say too that what splits the good teams from the bad teams are when the good teams play the bad teams. What happens in those games? Do you barely win by one score, or do you blow them out of the water? Lions keep blowing guys out of the water. So I feel like I would take Detroit right now, and maybe not on just that basis alone too, because like there's a bunch of other nuances you could dive into, but I feel like Detroit just kind of has this like juggernaut mentality. Like they feel like you understand too, like this is a team that has not been having this kind of success for 30 years before last year. And now all of a sudden they have a team that feels like they can do some damage, and they're winning games. The players feel good. The coaches feel good. The fans feel good. Like it's just good vibes in Detroit. So.
Yeah, that was the first 50-point game since 1997. Also, tangent. They did it against the Titans, who, as a franchise, have never scored 50 points in a game. As the Tennessee Titans, they did it as the Oilers most recently in 1990. Yep. The last time the franchise itself, the organization, scored 50 points in a football game was 1990. And of course,
we are so we're so spoiled. We're so spoiled, man. As Ravens fans and Rams fans, we are generally, all three of us right now, we are so spoiled because these franchises that are like just at the bottom of the barrel here, like it's hard to get out of that, man. It really is.
And you thought Cleveland was going to get out of the bottom. You know, you have Baker, you win 11 games in 2020. You win the playoff game in Pittsburgh. You go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. It's like the future is now. And then they have a down 2021 season, a down 2022 season. You make the Watson deal, and just disaster. Absolute the worst move in the history of sports.
Whoever their next starting QB is, whoever their next big acquisition is, if that doesn't work, I think you need to like just burn it down in Cleveland. They are moving to a new stadium soon too, anyways. Maybe that would be fit. I'm just kidding, by the way. I don't endorse. But yeah,
the issue with a lot of these franchises, in my opinion, and I talk about the Jags in this vein. One of my really good friends, huge Jags fan. You need to burn it all. You can't make little changes. Everything needs to be burned from the top down. If you continuously make these small little changes, nothing is gonna happen. You can't go for the safe option. I mean, the Cowboys for years now, every single coaching hire they've made is a clipboard holding hand clapper, and that's why they keep finding their way. That's why they keep finding their way into this, constant loop of just mediocrity. It's sure, there's Dallas teams that had a joint rookie of the year. Think about that. They literally had Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott both win rookie of the year in the same year. What did they get out of that? One playoff win after that, or two playoff wins after that.
They've won two.
Like
the Jets look like they're in like a similar vein too. They had both rookies of the year last year, I think, or was that the year before? Whenever it was with
Garrett but
Wilson,
you can't let's look at the bottom teams: Jags, Giants, Panthers, Titans, Patriots, Saints, Raiders. These teams that have been bad for a long time. I'm going to pinpoint the Jags. I'm going to pinpoint the Panthers. I'm going to pinpoint the Raiders, and we can toss the Jets into that tier.
Yeah.
Bad ownership. Like
the Giants,
disaster ownership.
When you have ownership that just doesn't care, it's bad. Like that's really it. I mean, I'm not going to say that Robert Kraft, in the Patriots case, doesn't care, but
the Patriots are a special case. They won 6 Super Bowls like in our lifetimes. I'll give them a pass for having a bad year, right?
They will. I feel like at some point sooner or later they'll figure it out. They're not. I mean, they're in a situation where they just need to kind of like figure out who their like core pieces are going to be going forward. They've cycled through a lot of QBs after Tom Brady, and I'm not going to ever say that replacing Tom freaking Brady is going to be the easiest thing in the world. but you
can't. You have to literally just look at it as a perspective of that was what it was. Now whatever we have moving forward, that's what it'll be, and it needs to be the same. And I think you have to do the same thing if you're the Chiefs after Mahomes. You have to do the same thing if you're the Ravens after Lamar Jackson. You cannot even Jordan Love. Like, it's difficult to sit there and be constantly compared. And the only way to overcome that is to not be Aaron Rodgers, is to be Jordan Love. It is not to be Tom Brady. It is to be Drake May. And honestly, I have to give him so much credit for what he has been given and for the situation he has been put in. Drake May has played, I wouldn't say mistake-free football, but he's played very well. When you're watching a Patriots game as a Patriots fan right now, you are watching and you're happy. You are happy. You're saying, we made the pick that we needed to make at that point.
Yeah, he's played well enough to the point where you can like get the coaching staff and look at that guy and be like, okay, he's fine. He's going to be our guy going forward.
Yeah.
Hopefully that works out for them, although I think a lot of us would prefer if it didn't.
Now the Panthers, however.
Oh God. I don't want to have eyes. I don't want to watch another Panthers game. With all due respect to new Ravens receivers,
I hate it because Johnson. I like their uniforms, but that's about it.
I don't want to watch another Panthers game. They just blow it all up. Owner down. If you relocate the franchise, move to Raleigh, move to South Carolina, figure something out, because it's a disaster. This is an inept franchise that what are you doing? What are you doing?
They've done nothing since Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the way that they handled Cam Newton, in my opinion, wasn't the way that you had to do it. I actually fear that Anthony Richardson is going to go down a similar path where and that's literally without the MVP and the Super Bowl appearance, where you have to protect the quarterback from himself sometimes. You really do. I get it. Yes, these guys are physical anomalies, but not everybody is Josh Allen, where they're going to take a beating every single game and be okay with it. And even Josh Allen's not okay with it. He's missed his
early on. He missed a lot of starts. He only had 11 starts his rookie year, but recently he's been very healthy.
You remember that Cam Newton play where he's reaching back and TJ Watt goes and just grabs his arm, pulls it back, and from that moment, we knew that it was over for him. And I watched Anthony Richardson in his rookie year 2 or 3 times, literally just dolphin dive into defenders, and he was done. And so I for his sake, I really do hope that he gets that aspect of his game figured out. Obviously, they're saving him from himself because he won't even start now. So,
yeah, we'll touch on that when we get to the Colts here in a second. But in the same vein, let's talk about the Commanders. Mr. Jaden Daniels here, who loves to.
I need the highlight. Wrecked. I need the highlight. Give me a moment here. We're gonna find it.
We do have the Hail Mary, but
absolutely loves to dolphin dive into players. Jaden Daniels.
Once a week, I see the clip of his LSU highlights, and it's always like running into 10 guys, jumping when he doesn't need to. Brother, please slide. Jaden, I enjoy watching you. You're a lot of fun. I need both Maryland teams to be good. That's fun. That's good for football. But you jumping into grown men, not going to help things.
You just
man,
it's right. But yeah, no, we got to talk about this.
Okay, let's talk. What we should have a longer conversation about how you should defend Hail Marys. This is not the right way to defend a Hail Mary.
Shout out to Tyreek Stevenson, honestly.
Tyreek Stevenson. That's what I was going to bring up. This clip doesn't show it. But Tyreek Stevenson had probably the most splashes basically show in the world right now. That was, oh my goodness. That clip won't show it, but he's hyping up the crowd.
Trolling the crowd.
Trolling the crowd, I guess. It was a hyping up.
I'll say this.
They were Bears fans.
I'll say this to you. He handled it pretty well afterwards. I think the public apology was probably what he needed to do.
Fair.
But still, what are you doing?
We're still going to call him out for it because that was egregiously bad. He's
bad.
Taunting the crowd. There are literally fans, by the way, Bears fans that are in front of him in the crowd that are pointing to him while the play is going on. They're pointing turn around. There's a play happening behind you. and he's the one responsible.
And the funniest part, if he doesn't do anything, if he stays taunting the crowd, they probably
that's the thing too. Or if because you just have to bat the ball down. Yeah. He tipped it up is what he did. He didn't bat it down. You have to bat it down in a Hail Mary type deal. Or
I got PTSD from AJ Green when I watched that play.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just an egregious mistake, but at the same time, just what a moment for Washington. What a big moment for that team and that fan base. That you talk about like bad ownership that they just got over, and now they're having moments like that. I mean, Jaden Daniels just captivated the whole city.
Hey, and that my friends, that's an election decider.
Oh my goodness.
Apparently, there's like this shtick that the last Commander/R Words game before the election, if the Commanders win, it goes one way. If the Commanders lose, it goes the other way. I don't remember what the shtick is. I know in 2020 the Colts-Bears shtick ended because the Colts won, but the Republican candidate didn't win. So I'm just throwing it out there. You know, if you're
not a politics show, by the way.
Yeah, you're not based in the United States and you want to handicap the election, follow along with how the Commanders do in their final game and bet that way, and maybe you'll win.
You are taught as a corner in that situation to, I mean, there's the corners who are covering, you know, just the receivers man coverage. That's pretty standard, right? And then there's the safeties that stand back. You know, they're just trying to bat down whatever ball. There's usually a player who is on the perimeter who is responsible for stopping a batted ball. And I mean, if Tyreek Stevenson is on that part of the field doing that little dance, I don't know exactly, but that's probably his responsibility. It's probably his responsibility to make sure that ball, if it does get batted in the air, is hitting the ground.
Mm-hmm. But that was also why Noah Brown played it to perfection, because he was playing that role on the offense. Like, he's playing that role behind the mob of players so that he's like able to catch it in case of a tip, and he played that perfectly. And it's just like, what can he say? I mean, well done by him. Awful job by Tyreek Stevenson. I'm sure, like you said, though, he handled it well, and I'm sure that he'll learn from it. Won't do that again, hopefully.
I hope not.
Bears fans.
If he does that again, he might not be in the NFL for much longer.
I don't know if you know this.
You're thinking about the UFL in that moment.
He was very, very not liked by the Bears fans, anyways, to begin with.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt.
So it's not gonna help him. It's not gonna help him. He's a Raven in like 2 years, though. So
I do want to touch on this. Matt Eberflus, coming closer. I don't know how to tell you this. You're an idiot. Why are you rushing 3 and having a spy? So the positives to rushing 3. Yeah, he had a spy.
You're kidding. Wait, no, there's no way.
They had a spy. The positives to rushing 3 is that you drop 8. And the offense physically cannot have 8 receivers. Great. But if you have a spy, you reduce it to 7 guys in coverage. So you have 1 fewer guy, and yes, you still have the advantage over the offense in that case, because they can't have 7 pass catchers. They can only have 5. But still, you are reducing your numbers. If you blitz a guy, if you blitz him and you have 4 rushing and 7 back, okay, fair enough. But when you have a spy, you don't get the benefit of having a 4th guy rushing, and you don't get the benefit of having the 8th guy in coverage. This is just brain dead decision making. I am for not cover 0 like Greg Williams did against the Raiders and Henry Ruggs that one time, but send 5, maybe send 6, and then you still are one-on-one on the back end. Scary, but one-on-one on the back end. At least try something. Try to have pressure, because on a play that develops as long as that one did, that was over 12 seconds of Jaden Daniels just running around. Lamar against the Browns, same deal, that the Browns didn't exactly send pressure. Lamar extends, and you just don't get the play at the end. Whatever, it happens. But you just brain dead decision making there. I don't know how long of a leash Eberflus has, even with a rookie quarterback, even with a team that's making a lot of progress. They finished the year. Last year they were like 7-4 to end the season. This year they're 4-4, right in the thick of a playoff spot. But that sort of stuff loses you football games.
I'm watching the all 22 of it right now, and it's pretty ugly. I don't really understand why he's He's actually he's a spy slash a pseudo. He's in coverage against Eckler technically. If Eckler had released there, he would have covered him. But still, it doesn't really make sense. What is Austin Eckler like Alvin Kamara? Like it's not.
Okay, I do want your take on this, Hassaan. When the Ravens had the Hail Mary situation, it was just like Lamar quarterback draw, and if he pitches it the right way, the Ravens might score a touchdown. Are you for that, against that?
So it's not even just that. So you pointed this out to me earlier, and I watched back the ending of that game. The play before that, Lamar Jackson had a crease the size of Moses parting the sea. And I think it's because of the time that he had. I think at that moment, maybe it was like 15 seconds. He thought to himself, oh, I've already bought myself enough time. If I run, I'm going to just eat up the clock. And then we have the Dak situation where we laugh at him because, you ran it, you're a running back. Exactly, yeah. But if he had ran it and even just made it a 10-yard pass rather than a 25-yard pass, our situation is completely different in that vein. And I did see what you're referring to. I would probably vote against that as a coordinator. Okay. It just wouldn't be my first decision, just because it's not really a thing. Like, you never want to go into a last play and think like, we're gonna take a chance, especially when there is such a percentage to win the game. Like, let's think about it. Like, what percentage did the Ravens really have at the 25-yard line with Lamar Jackson to win the game there? One play. It's not very high, but at least it's like, say it's like 20%.
Maybe like 5%.
5%, sure. Let's say it's 5%.
Sure.
Even then, if you're pitching the ball, you're just making it a lower percentage play. And that's
Fair.
And unfortunately, that's the way that NFL coaches think about it. It's a percentage-based game. It's
Sure.
just I have to say it again. I wish he would have ran it. I wish he would have ran it the play beforehand. If he had ran it the play beforehand, he had about I honestly have to say I think he would have scored. It was that big of a hole. I've watched the all-22. I've watched the gap. I know how fast he is. I've seen that dude run like gap corners, So it's like, it's tough.
And then even like you're still in a situation you can get out of bounds.
Yeah.
You can say, okay, maybe I'm not going to score here, but we can pick up like half the yardage we need to get to the end zone and just take a step out of bounds.
Yeah.
And you still give yourself the shot with the final play. So I would throw Washington playoff contenders. I don't think they exactly deserve to win that game. The Bears also didn't exactly deserve to win that game, but sometimes you have these sloggy games. The Bears are a pretty reasonable team. Probably top of the regular season Warriors, maybe the bottom of the playoff hopefuls.
I'd say I'd probably put them at bottom of playoff hopefuls, because at 4-4, you could do something. Who knows? Yeah. It just depends on how the rest of the year goes.
I don't think that they have the experience. That's my take on that. I just don't think that they have the.
That's a fair take.
I look, when the Ravens played the Commanders, I was not worried in the slightest. I knew we were going to win that game. I thought we were going to win that game handedly. I think we did win that game handedly. There was really no moment in which the Commanders weren't playing catch up. I was more worried about the Buccaneers the next week, which is crazy because we slapped them even harder. But look, I have to say this: Dan Quinn is a damn good coach. Dan Quinn deserves so much credit for what he has been able to do in that Commanders team, because that is not a team that we ever expected to even go into this season and even have in this playoff contention tier. Right?
But they were a team that, if you had bottom of your power rankings, perfectly reasonable. Like if their power ranking spot began with a 3, perfectly reasonable. And now they're a top 10 team, a top 12 team, leading the division. And I mean, if you're a betting man,
it's not an easy division to win either.
You might as well pick the Commanders over the Eagles if you have any issues with Jalen Hurts right now. Though Hurts did play a lot better. Shoot, the Philly played a lot better against
the Eagles are like back in the conversation. What are they, like 5-2 now?
5-3?
5-3, something like that.
AJ Brown is like a humongous difference maker. It's crazy how much a wide receiver can change how everyone on the offense plays. It's like they're in slow motion without him, and then he comes out and swole Batman's like, on Batman, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Batman's here! Let's ball out."
It changes the way you have to play it schematically, right? It's so difficult to account for AJ Brown every single play because he's lining up from inside, outside. The personnel packages that can run is completely different. The way that Jalen Hurts can play the game is completely different. Every couple drives, Jalen Hurts will literally just have that one moon ball that's like off his back foot for no damn reason other than it's AJ Brown, right? And you're throwing it for every other receiver, that is a 20% catch. For AJ Brown, that's 70. That's his ball in the air, and so it makes a huge difference. And I think Jalen Hurts you can literally see the difference in what type of player he becomes between those two. And even going into the season, I really like the Eagles. I think that they are handedly in the playoff contention tier. You guys are welcome to disagree with me.
Yeah,
their roster
right there with
is
Washington.
so complete.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, they're I'm pretty sure when I did my way too early full season predictions, they were 13-4, I think.
Yeah,
I don't remember, but yeah.
The heck, even the year they went to the Super Bowl, and that was before Hurts broke out. I had them, I think, third in my power rankings. This team, outside of quarterback, they are loaded everywhere. And if Hurts takes any iota of a step, they're going to be awesome. And then Hurts takes a step, and they're the best team in the NFC, and they're a play away from winning the Super Bowl. In all honesty, and it's a really good roster. Howie Roseman, great job.
Yeah,
and they moved on from Wentz at the perfect time. You get the perfect guy to follow in. Hurts is the city of Philadelphia in a quarterback,
very homegrown.
They're gonna build Hurts the statue at some point, the Rocky statue.
Yes.
That's the
don't mess with that if you don't like the Eagles. By the way,
that's
a
Tush
curse
statue.
To mess with that.
Also, do we want to talk about the Dwayne Wade statue?
Oh no!
Oh no!
Wait, I have it. Hold on, I have it. Hold on.
I think it's better if we don't.
Okay, Hassaan, you're going to appreciate this. I've seen memes going around.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Okay. The Ed Reed bust for the Hall of Fame is peak sculpture,
yes,
however you want to classify it.
It's really,
that bust.
Really
that thing's awesome.
If you are making a sculpture, if you are making a statue, if you are making anything that's supposed to resemble a person, call up the guy who did Ed Reed's bust for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
it'll be good. I promise you. It's not gonna be like the Ronaldo statue. It's not gonna be like the Wade statue. Although the Shaq one was pretty good. It's some of these are horrendous, and I know even the Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame, they're plaques. Joe Mauer's didn't really look like Joe Mauer, and I know it's tough because sometimes you want the player wants it to be how they were when they were playing, and obviously they're not playing anymore, so that's a difficult going back 15 years, and it's hard to use pictures because even now. Even Calvin Johnson, right? He was a pretty recent inductee into the Hall of Fame. 2014 doesn't have the technology to have perfect 3D scans. Maybe now you can figure it out, but now if you're retiring in 2024, you're a 2030 inductee. So you're that gap. I understand, but
my question is, how many people are involved in this process of making a sculpture, and at what point does someone go, hey guys, that doesn't really look like Dwayne Wade?
I think it's different
there?
For every statue. I think it just is. I remember the LA Kings in hockey released a behind the scenes video when Dustin Brown did get a statue, but I'm talking about I think Luke Robitaille, he got a statue, and they were showing a behind the scene. There were 3 guys working on it. That was it. And then I think there's just one dude who works on the busts for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I remember seeing a video about that too. So
great video.
It's not a very high volume of people working on it, but I feel like there maybe should be a little bit more because I think it would help.
There has to be more than one because they have multiple busts. It's I don't know.
It's probably the same guy who
okays from what I've seen.
It's probably the same guy who okays it. I know that they're probably pretty specific on who's even allowed to touch those things. I wouldn't be surprised, man.
All right.
So Eagles took the Bengals behind the woodshed. Cincinnati. Look,
I would actually say the Eagles are ahead of the Commanders. By the way,
that's
my opinion on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just because once again, I think it comes down to the experience factor.
Sure.
But that's why we do tiers. Anyone, the general rule of thumb, since this is your first time here, the general rule of thumb with these tiers is that anyone can really beat anyone within the same tier.
Yeah, it makes sense. I wouldn't really think that the Panthers are better than the Titans, Patriots, Saints, or Raiders. So I assumed as much anyways.
Yeah, we're not like, we could probably spend an hour like, oh, are the Panthers better than this? Like, no, but maybe they do this better. Or the Titans are favored over the Patriots this week by like 6 points. It's like, yeah, the Titans are probably better than the Jacoby Brissett Patriots. Or yeah, but it's
I really do wonder how much of an impact Stephon Diggs being out is going to have on the Texans.
And no Collins for now.
Yeah, so this week it's going to be Xavier Hutchinson.
Like, they're playing tonight. Obviously, when the world sees this, the game will be over. But the Jets are favored. I know it's in New York.
Are they actually?
Yeah, the Jets it's minus 1.5. The Texans like plus 115 depending on.
No Lazard for the Jets, by the way.
Ah, wonderful. Poor Aaron Rodgers.
No Alan Lazard.
No Alan.
Yeah, he's on IR.
I really don't understand how people think that the Texans are going to win that game. Then again, it is the NFL, and when you go into a game and a team is very desperate for a win, as the Jets are, sometimes it just magically happens that they win. But
hey, last year I lost a parlay because I had Texans plus 13.5, and they lost by 24 against the Jets.
Pain. Suffering.
It's like, yeah, I'll just throw this like 14-point teaser or some goofy thing like that. Yeah, of course they're not going to lose by 2 touchdowns when they get annihilated by Zach Wilson.
That's why I made the nacho bet in the Bears-Patriots game. I thought the Bears wouldn't do anything at all. And
oof.
I'll say the Stroud has come back to earth is what is one thing that I'd say about this. He was on a ridiculous pace of like touchdown to interception ratio in his rookie year. I think now you've seen the plateau. The very, very normal NFL plateau. Even if I'm saying he's come back to earth, he's still a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. It's very difficult to argue that. That's it. And even like I'm saying top 10, you could even probably really look down, sit down and with it and argue top 8, top 6, whatever you want to say. But I really do wonder how it's going to affect him now not having that bevy of weapons that he's had. I like Xavier Hutchinson. I don't think Xavier Hutchinson is Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs.
So. Yeah, you have Mechie now. You have Robert Woods. Like you have some guys, but they're not Nico Collins. Nico Collins was averaging like 130 yards a game. Yeah. And even one of those games he missed a half. And Stephon Diggs is like Stephon Diggs. So
I'd still say they're playoff contenders. That's
yeah,
what
of course. Say. So yeah, Houston. We could probably take them ahead of Philly. Will Anderson, our AFC Defensive Player of the Month, by the way. Kaimi Fairbairn hits from the parking lot once a week, so that's a weapon. And we do need to touch on Cincinnati after their 20-point beatdown at the hands of the Eagles. Yeah, this is just a fundamentally bad defense. Just a bad defense. Like Joe Burrow, great. Jamar Chase, great. Also, Joe Mixon for the Texans has been phenomenal. This is one thing I called in the offseason, that Joe Mixon was going to work with the Texans. He didn't have to be the focal point. He was just going to be like one of the dudes. He's been one of the dudes, and he has been the dude. He's been awesome for them.
Yeah.
Cincinnati is missing him badly.
The last thing is that they also have one of the best duos in pass rushing in the entire NFL. I don't actually remember where the statistic is, but I mean, I can find it here. But Jonathan Grenard and Will Anderson, ridiculous duo right now. Yeah, they're really good.
Still there, or is it? I think they had a.
It's not Grenard. Sorry, it's the guy they got. It's the Vikings guy, Hunter.
Ah, yes. Okay. And now Grenard, I think, is on the Vikings.
So
that's funny.
QB pressure leaders, it is Daniil Hunter is number 1 in the NFL, and Will Anderson is 4.
He's so good. Hunter is so good.
Yeah. Zach Allen, by the way, is number 5.
He's in Denver, right?
Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay, let's fly through this a little bit here. Bengals, where are we going?
Bengals, top of the playoff hopeful tier. Like having Joe Burrow is great. Having the offense is great. But that defense is stink.
Yeah, and it's also Burrow always starts slow, like every year. At some point, that's just going to become a given if that trend continues. Like,
and who do they play this week? They'll beat Vegas, but then they have a short week in Baltimore. That is a brutal game.
Yeah.
And I know Baltimore is dealing with the injuries, and you're probably not going to have most of your defensive line for that game.
Yeah, but Baltimore's going to be fine. They're angry coming off of that loss to Cleveland.
Yeah. So. They just got
Granted, it's in 2
Splash,
weeks.
what was the score of the Ravens game? Like 38-41?
Yeah, 40. Yeah,
Your
41-38. They win in overtime.
38 points allowed. They're going to be pissed. And so, Lamar Jackson always plays well against Joe Burrow. I think we're gonna win, and then I think we're gonna lose 2 games to the Steelers.
Oh. We will cross that bridge in a few weeks. Buffalo, I think Buffalo you can put right behind Baltimore, bottom of the Super Bowl contender tier. They're firing on all cylinders. They have been playing, a lot better of late. So fair play to them. Josh Allen just doing Josh Allen things. The usual. Keon Coleman's getting a bigger role within the offense. Shakir's been nice. James Cook's been nice. No complaints. Really.
I'm gonna say something crazy. If they played the Bengals tomorrow, they would be a 3-point game somehow.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll find a way.
Yeah. That's the shtick with the Chiefs and the Bengals, that it's always going to be a 1-score game. I think the Bengals are sort of they love playing up or down to their competition. And if they play one of the top 5 teams, they're going to play them like they are the 75 Steelers, just inexplicably.
Yeah, the thing is though, I think the Bills have really put on a showcase of how to build a NFL roster. In my opinion, everybody was sitting there. They thought, oh, they just got rid of Stephon Diggs. Oh my God, look at all the losses on defense. They're not going to be able to contend this year. They weren't rebuilding; they were retooling. And it's similar to what the Chiefs did when they got rid of Tyreek Hill. And now you see the Bills are doing it with Stephon Diggs. So, it's something to look at moving forward. The Vikings obviously didn't choose to do that with Justin Jefferson. We can see if maybe the Bengals are going to do it with Jamar Chase. But it's just a new way, just something I've noticed in the trend in the NFL as of late.
Yeah. And the Bills put the beat down on Seattle.
Seahawks suck.
Yeah,
I
think they're behind Chicago. I trust Chicago's defense a little bit more right now. And Caleb had been playing better. He wasn't very good against Washington. Geno is it's disrespectful to say pumpkin watch, but it's like half pumpkin watch.
But it's fair.
Speaking of Halloween, happy Halloween, everybody. It's like half Halloween watch. Geno can be a reasonable quarterback, but he can also be like QB 26 and just be like that for a month. And it's just so frustrating because you buy in. It's like, I ain't right back though. Or he's like so charismatic and I like that. And you have the moments and it's like, but you also
Jack, I'm actually curious if you know this or not, but you know how every NFL fan base has their own really weird takes. So if you talk to you're right, you talk to a Commanders fan and they're like Bobby Wagner top 10 and you're like who why what is that, or the Packers fans would be like Hassaan Nixon, one of the best returners. It's okay.
Yeah.
The Seahawks fans, I learned that they have actually convinced themselves that DK Metcalf is a top 3 receiver in the NFL on any.
Oh my goodness, you have no idea. They're
convinced
of that. They're convinced that Geno Smith is the best QB in the division.
Really? Wow.
I'm pretty sure they are. That's.
What else is there? Jack?
I don't even know. It's a disaster.
Woolen, that he's better than Sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just the ball production. It's the Sherman Revis thing all over again. But at least Sherman was like that.
Sherman was a little, in my opinion, I like him as a pure press corner, but I don't know. The Seahawks, they have this really weird thing with DK Metcalf. Their fan base really does believe that Metcalf is the second coming of
he's a good receiver. Yeah. It's not that he's a bad receiver, but he definitely gets overrated. He is almost double the size of Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey was locking him down twice a week. So
he plays
Ramsey's a freak in his own right.
You guys remember Chase Claypool playing like he was 2 feet tall?
Oh I swear. We don't need to talk about Chase Claypool.
Mapletron, baby.
No, the Seahawks are decent. I think that it's I just don't. I'm not going to take them seriously. I'm sorry.
I don't have trust in them, and
Yeah.
this is. I don't want to talk too much crap because we played them this weekend, but they're a team that when the season got started, they were basically the quintessential. We are beating what's in front of us. They didn't really have that strong competition through 3 weeks. They got humbled by Detroit, as many people have been this year, and then it has just been It's felt like when they have played teams that look like contenders, the Seahawks fall flat. So
they had one good win in there, and outside of that, their wins and loss, they whacked Atlanta. Credit to them, they whacked Atlanta. They were big underdogs in that game. They go into Atlanta, they whack Atlanta.
That was a good win. For them.
Outside of that, they've played exactly to their schedule. Better teams, kill them. Worse teams, good job, you beat them.
I really am curious to see what they do next year. They have such a young core. And their coaching, I mean, we've seen what Mike McDonald's scheme can really do to a defense. It's going to be interesting. It will be interesting for years to come, what they're able to do. But the fear is that their O-line has kind of degraded a little bit. Charles Cross is not playing to the level that he was last year. He looks lost. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Charles Cross tape, but there's certain plays where he's literally just like floating and no one knows what's going on. Like it's he's not even looking at the right side. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's tough scenes. Packers, Jordan Love. Can we be healthy, please? Like it's just that if you have Jordan Love, you are a playoff contender. If you don't have Jordan Love, with all due respect to Malik Willis, great story. I love the quote after the when they were going into the Titans game. Like, nice guy, but I don't exactly think he's an NFL quarterback most weeks. So if he's starting regular season Warriors, if it's Love, bottom of the middle of the playoff contenders group.
I put them in playoff contenders personally. Yeah, I put them in playoff contenders personally, but that's with the expectation of Love playing. I think this is the kind of team that can beat anybody on any given Sunday, is what I'd say about them. You could have them in a game versus the Chiefs tomorrow, and I would still.
They beat them last year,
and that's what it comes down to. I think when you're a team that can do that and can really just go in and beat anybody, you deserve to be, feared. But once again, you're completely correct. If there's no Jordan Love, you're gonna be.
It's a totally different team without Jordan Love.
Yeah. So kind of splitting the difference there, and they play Jacksonville. Just next year, maybe you'll figure it out. Maybe you fire Coach Peterson and you figure something out with Trevor Lawrence. Brian Thomas, nice receiver. Tank Bigsby, nice. But outside of that, what are we doing?
Ronald Darby.
Oh, good Lord.
Ronald Darby is so bad. Do you know how bad Ronald Darby is? Like, actually, have you looked into it?
No,
he's he is a now. Bottom 3 corner in the NFL. I think when targeted, like he's allowing like a 93% catch percentage or something. Like it's asinine how bad he is.
Oh my goodness. So, all right, let's keep rolling. We got Minnesota. Problems. Minnesota's in a bit of a free fall here. I would put them bottom of the playoff contenders tier. Like the Brian Flores defense shtick doesn't work against good quarterbacks besides Lamar Jackson for some reason. I don't get it. It's like you play a good quarterback in Matthew Stafford and you just don't blitz. You don't have the coverage guys to not
such
blitz.
A pseudo defense. And in the way of like week to week, they don't do the same thing well, but they're like chameleons. They can form their way into whatever offense they're playing to approach it in a different way, and that's something that I really appreciate about it. But when you're doing something like that, you're not always going to be able to play to the level of a defense that is really good at one or two things. You know what I mean? And so that's what I at least see when I watch them on film. I love that trade they made. I think that it's not a trade for a player that I like, really. I'm not really a big Cam Robinson. I'm not pounding the table for Cam Robinson. But at least you sit there and you ask yourself, what are we as a team? We think we can win. We're going to go out and do something about it.
Yeah.
And there's so many NFL teams that are so terrified of doing that, in my opinion. You know what I mean? They're a piece or two away from winning, and they'll just sit there and they'll just coast. Yeah. If I'm the Bengals right now, I'm calling people up. I'm trying to get some corners in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you're Baltimore did make the move for Deontay Johnson, but like Baltimore should be on the phone with Dallas and on the phone with Vegas, like Crosby, Parsons, like we have all the draft picks. We have every draft pick you could possibly imagine here. So even if you don't get the trade done, at least call around. Rams, I would put them probably ahead of Cincinnati. Like they're the same boat to me, that like the bad defense, the great quarterback, the really suspect defense.
This was the first week of the year where I felt like the Rams actually, I would say, had a good week on defense. I guess maybe they played the Raiders last week too, so they played fine against them.
The Raiders, no
but
Devontae.
Finally, the pass rush for the Rams is really starting to show up. I love what I've seen out of Jared Verse these last few weeks. He is looking like he's on a mission to prove something. And the Rams offense too, as a whole, just looks so night and day with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua back in the fold. Now, I did bring up before the show that unfortunately it sounds like Puka in practice today re-aggravated his knee. Hopefully this is just a precautionary thing. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but we're going to see what happens because Sean McVay talks tomorrow, so we'll find out there. But that the team, when they have their pieces healthy, they are a team that can do some damage. And I think I guess, sure, right now it's fair to have them right behind Green Bay because the record doesn't really reflect it yet. But when healthy, I'm telling you, this team can go on a run. And I think they proved that against Minnesota. Now, I will bring up the elephant in the room. The very last play of Minnesota's possession, that was a face mask.
That spawned the best Halloween costume. The guy with the kid with the sideways Vikings
helmet. The kid with the sideways mask. He was like wearing a Vikings helmet, and the helmet was like sideways, and there were like blind refs. They had like sunglasses and canes. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. A few things can be true. Yes, that was a face mask. That should have been a penalty. But no, the Vikings were not going to win that game anyway. I think the Rams at the present moment in that game were just playing too much better. And the Vikings had to drive.
Game anyways. Like,
they had to drive like 80 yards in 90 seconds or something like that, which Baker Mayfield made look easy once, but it's not easy. And especially with how much pressure Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Michael Hoyt even, they were getting on the Byron Young too. He had the game-winning safety. The Rams were just generating way too much pressure, and I think that the defense really stepped up that game. And they got hit a little early. You never want to have too many games like that, but the offense with Kupp and Nacua back in the fold they were able to punch back.
Kyron Williams.
I'd love to hear your take on this.
Kyron Williams looked good. 10 straight games with a touchdown for Kyron Williams, by the way.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear your take on this, Jack. I don't think that Cooper Kupp was ever available at any point.
No. I think that's a thing too. I think what it was is the Rams were just being smart and assessing their options, because if they lose that game and then they lose next week and then they lose the week, it's like, all right, you're kind of done here. And maybe you do consider, like with this season being lost, maybe you would consider a rebuild or a retool or something like that. So I think the Rams were just kind of being smart and like seeing what their options may have been in that case. Mm-hmm. But it seemed pretty obvious to me, especially after the game with some of McVay's comments, Cooper Kupp is here to stay. He's not going anywhere. And he is. Can you imagine, too? Somehow these rumors were still flying around after the game. Can you imagine how much morale that would have sucked out of that locker room if they win that game and they still trade him? That would be like. I would be calling for Les Snead to be fired if that happened. And I love Les Snead. I think he could do better in some of his returns for trades, but I still like him as a GM. I think he's done fine for us in the draft. But like if you trade Cooper Kupp after that, then it's like, all right, you're just tanking at that point.
Like if you lose to Minnesota, then you lose to Seattle, then you're sitting at like 2-6. Like, okay, fair enough. Then you can trade off pieces, but
move him to
there's a reasonable shot you beat Seattle. You're 4-4, and maybe you're adding at the deadline. Maybe you're adding a defensive piece. Maybe you're adding a Zadarius Smith from Cleveland, or you're adding.
They may or may not need to add. Who knows? Because Omar Spates finally got some good play time, and he changed the linebacker game too. And I thought Christian Roseboom had a better game. Troy Reader is on IR, unfortunately, but him and Roseboom did not look good at all for most of the season. They looked good week 1, and then they kind of fell off a cliff. But I thought Roseboom actually played decent. Up and down, inconsistent. It's gotten better because no Trey White. Trey White, he's probably they've given him permission to seek a trade. He's coming off of a torn Achilles. It's been rough. That's just what it is. It's been rough. I wanted to finish my point, but it's
okay. I don't think we've ever had an interruption like that before.
I think I can hear the door. So
okay. Did you order pizza or something?
No, my sister was asking me something. Gotcha. I was just gonna say, Cooper Kupp to the Rams is what I think Deebo Samuel is to the 49ers, and you guys are welcome to disagree. But I think
Jack's favorite player, by the way. Jack owns all of the Deebo Samuel merch.
I think that he is so vital to what the culture is of the team. Sure, he may not play.
No wonder their culture sucks, though. I don't like Niner culture at all, dude. Those guys are dirty. They play tough, but they act like jerks, and like
they are jerks.
I can't ever like show respect.
They are jerks.
They don't show any. That's why
Trent Williams is the baddest guy in the room. Every room he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's like, I don't know,
games.
like
in games where
actually that might be if we've had this topic before. With zombie apocalypse, you get one NFL player to defend you. Aaron Donald is no longer in the NFL. Sorry, Jack. Is Trent Williams the number one pick?
Jonathan Ogden.
Okay, well, active NFL.
Active NFL player.
Active. Does it have to be on an offense or defense?
It doesn't matter.
TJ Watt.
Reasonable.
It's. I would say Myles Garrett. Max Crosby.
That's a good one too. Yeah, that's a really good
Max
one.
Crosby does not look human. His build as a human being is ridiculous. Like that's not.
They call him the Condor for a reason.
Dude, have you guys seen how long his arms are?
Yeah, that's why they call it the Condor. They're like 10 feet long.
Dude, like, why are you built like that?
How is he a 4th-round pick? NFL, I don't get it sometimes.
No, I'd actually probably, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's probably be Max Crosby. Like that's like he's just not.
That's human. Fair. I think any player that we named there is fair. Crosby, Garrett, Watt.
I think Trent might be the number one pick. Just talking to a different group of people, maybe he's the number one pick. I don't know.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, is he just like flailing his arms and just killing zombies, or like?
I don't know. That like that's beyond the scope of the conversation.
Because if it's like, because we could also do like.
If it was Aaron Donald, just put 2 Bengals helmets in either hand and watch him go to work.
You think a zombie stopping Dexter Lawrence? Come on now.
No.
That's a good call too. 340 pounds, a grown man right there. Okay.
All right.
49ers, we can throw them top of the playoff contender tier.
Yeah. I still don't know how much I trust that team winning a Super Bowl. They ran away late in that last game, but
they're not the same team.
Every single week it feels like they have a chance to lose.
Oh, and Dallas put them regular season Warriors. We don't need to talk about them.
I want to see what they look like with CMC back. Mm-hmm. It's just
that could help.
Difficult.
Mason hasn't looked bad, but you can't replace CMC that easily.
CMC, like he's like AJ Brown. When you add him, it just adds a schematical difference. You know, you have to account for the fact that now you have Deebo Samuel and CMC moving out of the backfield. You know, and they run so much motion stuff. How are you going to account for Deebo Samuel being covered by a linebacker? How are you going to account for, Christian McCaffrey being covered by a safety? It's so difficult. It creates such a mismatch. It's so difficult to defend unless you have those off defenses like Baltimore did last year, where you have a Kyle Hamilton, where you have, Marcus Williams playing decently, where you have these
in theory
nickel options, where you have Patrick Queen even at that time. Like, you have these guys who are just, you're able to account for those matchups or mismatches. It's hard, So I want to see them with CMC. If they are able to rebound with CMC, they're right back in there at the Super Bowl contending tier. But right now they're just not. They're just not.
I think it is. It is. At this point, the Lions are now favored to come out of the NFC. So crazy. This is new. This is new information. But yeah,
totally understandable.
So San Francisco played Dallas. We're good. Pittsburgh, playoff contenders. I think they're ahead of Minnesota at this point. Russell Wilson has looked solid, better than Justin Fields. I like
you
the
can cook
connection
again,
with
I
Pickens.
guess.
You have 90. Having 90 is like you always have a shot with 90. I will say, bit of an easy schedule, and now you're playing all of the AFC North teams. I know they own Cleveland, I know they own Baltimore, I get it, but those are still tough games, and you still have to win those. They still have to play Cincy twice. They still have Philadelphia. They still have Washington. They still have Kansas City. I think that's their last 9 games of the season. They have 6 division games: Washington, Philly, and Kansas City. Yeah. They could lose like 6 of those. I wouldn't be surprised. But
Russell Wilson has reinvented himself. That's what I've seen on tape. If you guys really want me to go on a little bit of a tangent here, I can on Russell Wilson and why he wasn't as good. It's not much different than the fact that the NFL defense has evolved. The way they've started playing NFL defenses for a lot of the older quarterbacks has been difficult. Just because it's so different than what they used to do. You don't see those long scrambling plays where Russell Wilson is, somehow turning his hips and flipping it down the field for 30 yards. And,
I'm glad I
you
don't
have
see
Doug
those
Baldwin
regularly
catching
anymore.
the ball
I'll
like
say
this.
that much.
but
I
yeah,
used
like
to
it's
watch
not
that
the
a lot.
same
My blood pressure spiked when he leaves the pocket when he played for the Seahawks during those like prime years, and the Rams would play him on like Sunday Night
see, that's the
Football,
difference
and he just
now.
gets out of the pocket.
They just don't play the same defense anymore. It's the NFL has evolved. I mean, I could go even further. It really started with the Chiefs-Bucks Super Bowl. The way the Bucks approached Tom Brady in that, or Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl was, okay, what if we just don't blitz you? What if we just play, coverage? We send everybody back there. We play soft zone, and we let our pass rushers win. And it worked. And then NFL defenses said, okay, why do we only have to do that against Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, just do it against everyone and make everyone turn into Tom Brady to beat you, basically.
Yep. Exactly. And so now I think it's really nice seeing the way that Russell Wilson has kind of reinvented himself. I just really question how sustainable it's going to be, because it's a lot of – I actually liken it to like Mitch Trubisky. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a lot of run and shoot.
Oh, boy.
It's a lot of run and shoot.
Another
Steelers fans are going to love that comparison.
I know. They're going to – yeah, but look, they are a team. It is ignorant, in my opinion, to tell somebody that they are not a team that can win. So they are a team that can win every week. I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to beat anything crazy down the line, but who knows? They might prove me wrong.
Still go 9-8 down the road, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to jump to Indianapolis with this for a minute. Pittsburgh brings Justin Fields in. They bring Russell Wilson in. They have Fields start, and Fields has a hamstring injury, so that's a side note of this. But you go to Russell Wilson. You take a step away from the developmental quarterback, quote unquote, with Fields, because if you're Pittsburgh, you think you could potentially win a Super Bowl, right? And I thought that was a reasonable decision. Pittsburgh is right on the borderline of that. Pittsburgh is maybe they have a shot. If you get
as a franchise, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're better than Pittsburgh, you have a chance to win the Super Bowl. If you're worse than Pittsburgh, you do not have a chance to win the Super Bowl. That's been the line the last 5 years, it feels like.
Yeah.
Fine. If you're Indianapolis, I understand Anthony Richardson needs to be held accountable for the helmet tap and wanting to come out of the game on a critical down. Absolutely. This is the NFL. This is not the NBA. This is not the NHL. It's different. I get it. He's the quarterback of the team. It's not like he's a wide receiver. It's not like whatever. I understand that. But he's 10 starts into his NFL career. You are not only damaging confidence, but you did say that it's a leash thing with the coaches, and that's true. And Steichen could lose his job. I don't think that's really smart if you're Indianapolis or if you're anyone in the organization. Oh, well, we dropped this quarterback at 4, and he's not great, so we're going to go to the backup. I don't think you should lose your job over that, trying to figure out if he is the answer here, maybe in 3 years. Daniel Jones has 70 starts in the NFL, by the way. It's just, I don't know. I didn't understand it when I woke up and I saw he's benched for the season. I understand there's accountability. I get that. And I understand coaches have jobs too, and they have to make decisions that are good for them, but you're not winning a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. Sorry.
I'm curious to see what Jack has to say about this, to be honest.
They care about this sort of thing too, because they like I remember that there was that clip of was it Eberflus in Hard Knocks, or there was a coach in Hard Knocks where they had, or no, it wasn't Eberflus, it was the Giants, I think.
Dable?
Yeah, I think. I don't remember which coach or team it was, but there was like a Hard Knocks like off-season clip or something like that where he like the coach had to make a cut.
Mm-hmm.
Or training camps, they had to make a cut, and like the coach was like really emotional about it. So those kind of decisions aren't easy, whether it's a cut or whether it's a bench or something like that. It's like it can be like really hard on you as a head coach if you have to make that decision, because like deep down as a coach that's the right choice, but it's gonna hurt some feelings, and that's the tough part of the business of football. It's like you're definitely the right choice isn't always the most like pleasing news to hear or something. So.
I actually have to say, Splash, I disagree with you. I think it's the right move. I just don't really understand why he had to go to the press and say that it was for the rest of the season.
I don't know.
Were you curious to hear what I had to say about
I find that was a little... Yeah. That's what I was wondering. Like, what did you think about the benching and stuff like that? Just because I feel like you offer a unique perspective being a Rams fan.
In my opinion, I think Flacco was the better quarterback, and that's why they had to do what they did. I just feel like I'm a little bit more concerned if I'm playing if the Rams are playing against the Colts next week and Flacco's the starter. I'm a little bit more concerned. Not that Anthony Richardson is bad, but I will say it was not a very good look when it came out that he said that he wanted to take a break from a game because he was too tired. That's
a bad look.
That's a bad optics all around.
I don't think that was the consequence. I think it was exactly.
I don't think that's what that led to him being benched for the season, but that's a bad look. That's just the optics of that are not great. So
I guess it is. You have to have like the locker room here, and if you're like a random linebacker and your quarterback is wanting to take a play off one of the most important plays of the game off, it's like that has to rub you the wrong way. And if you're Steichen, maybe you're looking at the locker room and saying, okay, Flacco's a guy everyone respects, everyone sees the ring on his finger, especially if you're I don't know, I doubt any player on the Colts like actually lost to Flacco in that playoff game, but that organization did lose to Flacco in a playoff game. So he's a leader of men type, I guess, like the veteran, the old head, whatever you want to call him. He's a champion.
Yeah.
Almost no one else in that building is a champion. So maybe you respect Flacco more and you lose respect for Richardson trying to come out of the game. So it's for the best.
Where are we putting the Colts, by the way?
I think they are at the end of playoff hopefuls.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Very, very end. And you could even argue that they're regular season warriors, to be honest.
Yeah,
that's fair. I just think that the decision was ultimately made because they just feel like Joe Flacco is the better option right now.
I just don't understand why he had to say that. Like, look, I get it. Maybe I'm a John Harbaugh apologist for a second here. But Harbaugh would like even last 2 years ago when Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo had that whole thing going on, you don't hear coaches very often say that this decision is just going to happen for the rest of the season. And that's the thing that I didn't really appreciate about it, is that, what happens if Joe Flacco comes in and they stink it up? Are you going to put in Richardson? And to say that it's finite, that you are done, that in my opinion is more ego shattering, because you're in essence, you're telling your rookie quarterback, hey, for another 300 days, you are not touching the field. Right? Like, in essence, you are very much telling him, like, you're not, like, this is it for you. Like, you're done. Like, this is your end of your season. Pack it up. Like, get ready for next year. Like, that is ego shattering, in my opinion.
That
kills morale. And that's the thing that I don't really like about this whole situation. It's not that I think I think it was the right decision. It's just I don't really understand why they went about it in the way that they did. And then the other thing is that I if you were to really, really pick it out, I don't think that Steichen is necessarily the best for Richardson. I like Steichen as a coach. I don't think that he's the best for Richardson as a player. I don't think that
he was like right up there with Coach of the Year last year. If they beat Houston the last game of the season, he might win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, it's just I don't see that they use his skills in the best way. Like I've watched the film. It's ugly. I have to say, it's really ugly.
Richardson, he was what 2 for 15 at the half with like 70 yards on a Alec Pierce busted play.
81
touchdown.
yards. 81 yards. It was 2 for 15, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. That was the stat line.
Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, it's ugly. It's really ugly. The film is not pretty. You just have to really question if he's gonna hurt his morale. And I think it's really unfair that people are throwing those graphics of Josh Allen at him up too.
Yeah. Like, can we relax, please?
Yeah.
Like Josh Allen wasn't getting benched. The Bills made the playoffs in 2019, by the way. So
it's just unfair.
Wasn't that the year or no? No, I'm thinking of a different year. I was wondering about the year where they got sent Buffalo, or they sent another.
Stop! We are not talking about that game.
I'm remembering it now. It's all that was a blur.
Stop!
I was there. Talk about Greg Roman.
Stop.
Okay.
I'm having a good
Before we move
guys.
on,
I don't want to talk about
before we move on, I have slightly breaking news update. I mentioned that Puka Nacua re-aggravated his knee, but Schefter and Rappaport have both tweeted that it does not appear to be serious. So his status for Seattle is up in the air, but it doesn't look like it'll be.
I have some breaking news. CJ Stroud sucks.
What happened?
2 for 7 start.
Oof. 2 for 7 against the Jets.
Again. He was really bad against him last year.
All right, I just watched a highlight of a double team sack that resulted in a fumble.
These Jets uniforms are really nice, though. I really like the Jets uniforms.
I love the Jets uniforms.
First time ever.
Black, those are good.
Yeah, all right, really Bucks and Falcons. I think you are the exact same team, both in the playoff hopeful tier. Like I understand
both
the Falcons,
right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle. I understand the Falcons.
I don't see how the Bucks rebound.
Yeah, that's just
the Falcons sweeping the series is.
Yeah, like congratulations. One of them was an overtime game. The other one was like you win in the last few seconds, or you stop them in the last few seconds. But you feel really bad for the Bucks because they were like a top 10 team, and
we had them really high up on the list.
Yeah, and it's like okay, you have Godwin, you have Evans, Baker's playing really well, and now it's like you don't have Godwin. Evans is out for a few more weeks, and it's just losing both of your star weapons. And now you get the double loss to Atlanta. You lose to Baltimore. And you're just kind of in a tailspin. And this is a team that beat Detroit.
Really fun Monday night. We were robbed of a really fun Monday night game between the Chiefs and the Buccaneers, guys. Mm-hmm. Like that would have been a really fun game to watch if had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both been healthy. Mm-hmm. I'd be remiss to say if I don't think the Bucs would have come away with a win that game. Mm-hmm. So we really did get robbed. Prayers out for Chris Godwin, but.
And just
I just don't see them coming back from that. I don't.
Yeah, just horrible break.
Tough.
Denver, I would say top of the regular season Warriors group. Really good defense. I will point out they haven't exactly played like who's who of great offenses. They will play the best offense in the NFL this week. So that's exciting. But Denver, fair enough. They are taking care of business. They are beating teams they should beat. They go in, whack Carolina. Good job. Carolina has lost, I think, 5 straight games by 20-plus points, which is really hard to do.
That's impressive.
To do. Their average margin of victory is minus 18.
Jeez.
How are you that bad? I don't know. That's why they're
if you're gonna put the Broncos there, I think you bring the Colts down as well.
Okay, that's fair.
I think the Broncos are a better team than the Colts.
Sure.
I think we're gonna kill them this week. Just
I hope so.
Full disclosure. I think
I think the Ravens would like an easy Sunday.
If Lamar Jackson plays,
if Lamar Jackson, we have to see Josh Johnson against Denver. I'm putting my entire bank account on the Broncos.
Yeah, but I think if the Lamar Jackson plays, I think it's gonna be like a steamroll. To be honest,
I hope so. So,
Cardinals.
Yeah, Cardinals. Credit to them. They are winning games. They are winning games in the ugliest manner.
Angry at Miami that they couldn't get the job done.
I actually picked Arizona to win this game, so I pat on the back. Arizona, top of the regular season Warriors. Like I understand having Kyler gives you a potential like top 10 quarterback potential, but it's not every week. It's sort of like the opposite of Geno Smith. Like Geno Smith like had like half pumpkin watch. Kyler's on like half good quarterback watch. So like most of the time he's just like kind of there. But then sometimes he's like awesome. He was unbelievable against the Rams. Just phenomenal. Probably the best quarterback game this season. Actually, I will have positive things to say about Justin Herbert here in a moment.
I hate that game. That game. In fairness, as the season has gone by, that game feels more and more like an anomaly for the Rams. But
sure, Kyler was unreal in that game.
That stunk. I'm still not over the fact that they gave Marvin Harrison Jr. his just a free touchdown for stepping out of bounds before he had the ball. Like anyone who knows football and watched that touchdown, you can look at that and you'll go, "Oh no, that's not a touchdown."
Insane! It was insane.
But then it doesn't matter because he just does the same thing the rest of the game because we have no defense. So.
Yeah. Big props to Cliff Kingsbury in Washington.
I think I don't think the Rams are going to.
The question is, like, last year you literally have Kingsbury like he was in Thailand. Like they picked him.
Dude. I remember I pushed that out to everybody. They're like, in Thailand? What?
Dude, they literally
I heard at first it was a one-way trip too. Like he's going there and he's not coming back. He's done.
They kicked him out of the city, man. They wanted Kingsbury so far away from Arizona, and now he goes to the Commanders. And you really have to question for a second: is this one of those situations where there's a coach who, like, let's say Spags, where he's a better coordinator than he is a head coach? But like, who knows? Like, realistically,
I think this is a Mike D'Antoni thing. This is if you have a player, if you have like a coach who's really, really good at the X's and O's, but then you ask him to be a head coach, there's like a gap there sometimes. Like Vance Joseph, who's really, really good defensive coordinator, but just not exactly a head coach. Anthony Lynn. Yeah. Like some guys just aren't meant to be a head coach. And Spagnuolo is in a perfect spot. I would argue Baltimore has this in Todd Monken that I don't exactly see Todd Monken as a NFL head coach. So I think you can kind of lock him down a little bit. And yeah, great job, Washington. Just tremendous. Just you nail the Dan Quinn for now, at least for now, and you nail your offensive coordinator hire with Kingsbury. It feels like Kingsbury can do what he needs to do, as opposed to having to answer the media, having to cover everything, offense, defense.
I'm going to give you a bit of a throwback. I forget. I'm pretty sure this was Kingsbury. I think after he coached his first game and the Cardinals in the first half were getting their asses handed to them, he said to the media after the game or at some point down the line, like his first thought, like in the heat of the moment, in the heat of battle, he said that he was thinking to himself, "Oh my God, they're gonna fire me," and it's just
wow.
Yeah, like when you're like already thinking doom and gloom after your first half coaching goes wrong, you don't have the right mentality.
Okay, I forgot about this. When the Commanders played Arizona and they just dropped the hammer down, I forgot about the whole Kingsbury used to be the head coach in Arizona. And if I'd remembered that, maybe I would have picked Washington to win that week. I did not pick them to win that week.
It's just interesting seeing how different, they've been able to deploy Kingsbury's offense in Washington. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to see, I'd say, and it makes you really question, like, had they just demoted him or something like that, had they given him a different role, who knows? I mean, keep in mind, this is his college coach. This is Kyler's college coach. There's so many times in the NFL recently that we've seen these like breakups happen, and then you forget that there was even something to begin with, like Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. Remember, that was a thing. Mm-hmm. That's why Devontae Adams wanted to go to the Raiders, and then the next year he's not even there.
He was an All-Pro too. It's not like he was bad. He was an All-Pro. It just didn't work out with the team. Or even like, remember when Kyler Murray was like MVP frontrunner through half a season?
Yeah.
That was a thing. That was like a real thing. We all saw it. Huh? Then they lost to the Packers. AJ Green not running a route.
That was one of the funniest ways I've ever seen their season collapse.
Second AJ Green mention of the episode.
It's crazy to think too that they were like 8-0 on the road that year or something like that.
And then lost a road playoff game.
And then they lost a road playoff game. And like their road record was, their home record was terrible too. I think.
I think Jonathan Gannon is doing a decent enough job. I think his job's going to be safe for another year. We're going to have to see what they turn into next year. But I like the weapons that they have. I like the core that they have: Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, Dortch. You have some nice guys. I could not name a single O-line player on the Cardinals.
Paris Johnson.
Paris Johnson. Yes. But yeah, like they have a nice
Beacham
little.
Still there? I feel like he's
Kelvin
been like
Beacham?
the right tackle for 10 years.
Kelvin Beacham is there. Yes, I'm pretty sure. You've jogged my memory.
He was like a Jet for 10 years and then a Cardinal for 10 years, and he's only been in the league. Oh, he was a Steeler too. So he's a Steeler. As far as I'm concerned, he's been a Steeler for 10 years, a Jet for 10 years, and a Cardinal for 10 years. But this is his 5th year in Arizona.
That's so real. But yeah,
it's like the Scotty Wilbekins of the world that are at Florida for a decade.
They need to get their running game figured out. Is what the Cardinals need.
Yeah, James Conner. I always draft him in fantasy until he gets injured, and it's like figure it out. Trey Benson, figure it out, please. Dolphins.
Dolphins and Chargers. Let's get them out of the way, and then
Dolphins will throw him in regular season Warrior tier. Like, congratulations, Tua's back. He's healthy. That's good. You still lost.
I'm gonna put them on the top of the tier. I think top is fair because like if Tua is able to get clicking again, then they could just as easily move up next week.
What are we do? Miami, and they've lost so many games now. And you're stuck behind a lot of AFC teams. Like, we're having a conversation with Cincinnati that they have to win like 7 of their last 9 games to make the playoffs. Miami is behind them. Miami darn near has to win out to make the playoffs. So tough scenes.
So I'm gonna ask you guys a crazy question. All right.
Oh God.
Who do you guys think is where do you guys think Miami is in the last 3 games in terms of pass defense?
Ooh, because they were like first for a while.
I don't even know where they were in relation to begin with. So.
Are they first?
They're top 10 still somehow. And you can name there's the corner too is Storm Duck. They have Cater Kohu in the slot right now. And so like
Kohu was kind of nice for a little while. Oh my goodness. That's hilarious.
The reason I bring this up is because you know who their defensive coordinator is right now? Anthony Weaver.
Yes.
It's Anthony Weaver from the Ravens.
Ravens legend.
And all this to say, the Titans defense is not that bad either. And Denard Wilson is their defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of great defensive minds from the Ravens right now in the NFL that are doing pretty well. So It's pretty funny seeing that Zach Orr was the one that we got.
And we're all like so hyped for him. That probably because
I
he was
still
the best
think that he can
player
turn
of the
it around, but
yeah.
I don't know. Anthony Weaver was a pretty decent player. I think Anthony Weaver.
Zach Orr was an All-Pro the one year.
Zach Orr was amazing. I loved Zach Orr until he decided to leave us for the Detroit, and then got
he had the neck injury. He didn't play again. It's like, oh.
Yeah. I think the Chargers as well. I think they're going to be probably in the playoff hopefuls.
Yeah.
Or actually probably regular season Warriors. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. They
okay. I have serious anti-Charger bias.
I have
my
Justin Herbert take. I have my Justin Herbert take. I have been one of the most outspoken Justin Herbert critics out there. I agreed when Emmanuel Acho said he was a social media quarterback. I said on this podcast, I said on every show I've ever been on, Justin Herbert makes one highlight throw a month, and people just extrapolate that to all of his plays. He is playing like that right now. He is balling out. He has been tremendous the last 2 weeks. He's been absolutely tremendous. He's not the reason why they lost to Arizona. That was just gross incompetence by everyone else besides Herbert. Herbert was great in that game. They lost not because of him, but despite his greatness.
Despite his mistakes or his greatness.
Despite him playing well, they lost.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Then this week, he was tremendous. I understand it's not exactly a great opponent. I get that. But he balled out. He was dropping dimes left, right, and center. He was tremendous. So Justin Herbert is playing like you think he does. Like playing like when you compare him to Josh Allen, when you compare him to Lamar Jackson, when you compare him to Joe Burrow, he didn't usually play like that. The first 6 games, he did not play like that. He was just average. He was like QB 22. The last couple weeks, he has been awesome. So fair play. Good job, Justin Herbert.
More than likely, though, knowing him and knowing the Chargers, that could just as easily go the opposite direction next week. So who knows? Yeah, I still don't trust them. They're playing fine. It was that game against the Saints was they did a good job playing the team that was in front of them, but and he did ball out. Full credit where it's due, but that's just how I view the Chargers. I still don't see them as a serious threat because he can also, like you said the week before, he could ball out against Arizona. Someone else on the team screws up and they lose. Sure. So that's just the nature of the Chargers. That feels like it's how it always has been. And I don't know if Harbaugh can pull them out of it. It would be fun to see him try, but then again, I'm a Chargers hater, so yeah, 90% of what I'm saying comes from bias.
The Chargers are playing ridiculous defense right now. And yes, I think that's something that we need to have a conversation about. They are number 1 in points allowed. They are allowing 13 points per game. Okay. And they are 8th in yards allowed. Now, all this to say, Justin Herbert, in my opinion, is still playing really well. It's just, I when you look at that Cardinals game, I understand you're saying that it wasn't his fault, but when you have the ball at the opposing team's 40, down 1, with 2 minutes left on the clock, when you're getting paid that much amount of money as an NFL quarterback and you're being compared to Lamar Jackson, you're getting compared to Patrick Mahomes. The fact of the matter is that you have to show up in that moment, and it's just those moments that I could really question, and you have to kind of ask yourself how much of that is Justin Herbert, and how much of that is the fact that Ladd McConkey is legitimately their receiver too.
That's fair.
And so it's tough. It's tough. I have a hard time believing in them to the level of a team that's gonna, like the Packers, for example. Like they're not at that level, and it's just you have to question. Justin Herbert is on his 3rd head coach, 4th offensive coordinator, and they're finally starting to look competent as a full team. Before it was, oh, the receivers aren't good. Oh, the running game isn't good. Oh, the defense is awful. Like every single year, it's something.
You have special teams issues. You have game management issues.
Can this finally be the time that they actually get their entire act together? I don't know. That's my worry with them.
Yeah, and this
Tennessee,
is a case.
By the way, I looked at it. Number 1 in yards allowed. They are allowing. It's insane. I didn't realize it was that crazy.
By the way, the Chargers are in a playoff spot right now. They are ahead of Indianapolis, Cincy, Miami. So fair enough.
Okay. You know what? Fine. I'll move them up a tier. Fine.
I am pleading NFL AFC teams. For the love of all things holy, do not let Denver in the playoffs. I swear to God, if I have to see Sean Payton and Bo Nix in a playoff game, I will shoot myself. Do not let Denver in the playoffs. Do not let Denver in the playoffs.
System, in fairness, is stupid. The fact that there has to be a division winner getting a home game, it's dumb. It should just be 1-8 in conference, or 1-7, whatever it is.
Well, to be fair, Kansas City is winning the division, so
yeah.
Oh, did you guys see that Buffalo could clinch the AFC East by week 11?
Oh my God!
That's how bad the rest of that division is.
Yeah, so they could be 9-2. Really, the other teams could be 2-8 or 2-9. Jets touchdown, by the way. Apparently,
we have offense in that game. There we
go. Maybe Rodgers is 3 for 7. Stroud is 3.
Or did he fumble on the goal line? Apparently, he fumbled on the goal line.
Oh, average Jets moment there.
Rodgers.
You saw the chat? Did you see the message in the chat just pop up? That sounds like he fumbled on the goal line.
Oh my days!
Oh boy, Jets.
Jets, Jets.
Where do you go as the Jets at this point? Like that's something that I really wonder. Like, what do you even do at this point? You're so like
I think this is a Woody Johnson issue more than this. You're just stuck because you have an owner that doesn't really care, because the Jets are going to make him money, right? But he doesn't really care about the product. Like, yeah, it'd be better if the Jets are winning, but you're going to make money anyways. It's just, I don't know. You're in a tough spot with just that whole organization, top to bottom. Like, we all like Joe Douglas, former Raven, of course. And it's like, oh yeah, good move here, good move there, and like around the edges, it's really good. But then the Rodgers thing has been a total disaster. Even like okay, last year he tears his Achilles. You don't expect that. Fair enough. Well, this year, your entire offense is built around the chemistry of Aaron Rodgers and his wide receivers. Okay, that's fine when he's been with the receivers for 10 years, but it's not fine when it's Mike Williams, and you're throwing chemistry balls to Mike Williams on the sideline in a big spot. Like, yeah, if that's Devontae Adams or Alan Lazard, maybe they catch the football, or that's Donald Driver, maybe he catches the football, or Greg Jennings or Randall Cobb. But like Mike Williams has been his teammate for like 4 months. That's not how that works. So your entire
I don't
offense
even understand
is based on, it's like
the scapegoating. Mm-hmm. Like, would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's like you spin the wheel, and who does Rodgers blame that week? Does he blame Saleh? Does he blame the media? Last week he blamed the media. Does he blame the defense? He doesn't blame himself usually. Does he blame like his darkness retreat? I don't know. And it's just there's no accountability there. And there's never been accountability with the Jets, at least since they had those 2 years with Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez. Like there was that was a team that they were going to show up and they were going to be held accountable for their actions, and they played like they needed to be held accountable. And since then, it's just like a slog, and there's it's just a poorly run organization top to bottom.
Yeah. After says no TD.
They said no TD?
Yeah.
I mean, Rodgers right now is 3 for 7. I haven't
seen the highlight yet, but apparently he fumbled on the goal line. And
he's 3 for 7, 11 yards. So,
the Jets.
J-E-T-S.
Oh wow, guys! It's actually even worse than you think it is. It's not only is it not a touchdown, it's not a touchdown in the way of Deshaun Jackson. He dropped the ball before he went into the end zone. He was running in and he did one of the he like threw the ball behind him, like he dropped it right before he went into the end zone.
I can't wait to see the clip.
What DK Metcalf did last season.
I gotta see the clip. Let's see.
Malachi Corley. Like that's embarrassing, is what that is.
It's not a good look at all.
Deshaun Jackson. The funny part is he did that twice.
Yeah, he did that in the Army Bowl, I believe.
People just hold the football.
How does it
when you're going over the line? If you know for a fact that you were going over the line and scoring,
yeah, you can do whatever you want with the football as soon as you cross the goal line.
Just cross the goal line.
You can do the dug or do the whip with it. You can whatever you want to do with it. You can like have a baby with it. Whatever you want to do with the football, you can do.
Have a baby with it
in the end zone. I'm sure that's a thing, right? I'm sure that's been a celebration before. You can rock the baby.
Rock the cake, but you saying have a baby with it?
You said have a baby with it.
You said have a baby with it. Do not have a baby with the football.
Moving on.
Guys.
Okay, moving on. Apparently there was a baseball game last night. I don't think we need to talk about it much more. There's not going to be a baseball game for a while, which stinks. But hey, Braves 2025 World Series. They traded Jorge Soler, unfortunately.
No, we're talking about it.
To the better team in LA.
We're talking about it. The Dodgers did it again, and you can't talk crap anymore this time because they did it in a 162 game season. No COVID, no weird protocols or anything like that. No bubble. They get their parade. I'm gonna try and go to the parade tomorrow. So, oh my goodness. I will say, as a baseball fan, a bit of an underwhelming World Series.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you have the Dodgers and Yankees colliding like that, it's a total like clash of the Titans, and the two teams it ends in 5 games. I mean, it felt like the Yankees were just kind of handing the Dodgers wins in situations where the Dodgers should not have won. Like we were down 5-0 in the 3rd inning. 2 innings later, it's tied on 3 errors. I think the Dodgers had a total of maybe 3 earned runs.
It was 2 errors plus the weird play that Cole didn't cover first base.
That is like fundamental pitcher stuff that you don't that like you're supposed to cover the bag.
Yeah, and it's like a weird role too. So I understand why Cole didn't cover the bag. He should have covered the bag.
I was stunned.
It just like turns left, and Rizzo's in an awkward spot that he's not running to the bag. He's not running through the baseball to the bag. He's running through the baseball away from the bag. So it's like just an unfortunate role there. But Cole should have still covered the bag.
I can't tell you how stunned I was when I saw them making that. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to waste this whole inning again. We had 2 men on the base. We're just going to totally like throw that away, a strand 2 more. It's going to be a really, really tough watch for the rest of it. And then I see Mookie sprinting to first base and nobody's there. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then the run scores and then it's collapsed. I believe
the inning should have been over right there.
Yeah, that right there alone, that mistake spiraled into the Yankees losing the World Series. And I mean, you look at stuff like game 1, 2, where Garrett Cole was dealing, and then they've put in Cortez, who hasn't pitched in over a month, and his first pitch, Freddie takes him deep, and it's a walk-off grand slam.
What a miserable! We obviously didn't get a chance to talk about that. Like, I understand you like the lefty-lefty matchup. One, put in Tim Hill, first of all. Just
don't put in in general. Don't put in a guy who hasn't pitched in 30 days.
Yeah, like in the highest leverage imaginable. Just put in a reliever, like a regular reliever. Like, yeah, if Tim Hill blows it, okay, fair enough. Also, it's Freddie freaking Freeman. This guy doesn't really have splits. He kills lefties too. If anything, Mookie is the one that struggles against lefties out of that group. Ohtani's not great against lefties, but Mookie's the one that is like, he really should kill lefties, but he doesn't. But just what a strange World Series. I do feel like we were robbed from like a classic Game 5 that, like, yes, it's a comeback, but a lot of it was Yankee errors and Yankee mistakes. And
it's I'm glad that the Dodgers had a roster to take advantage of that, because some teams don't. Some teams wouldn't. But
right.
In that situation, I feel like the Dodgers just kind of like, I don't want to say the Yankees necessarily handed it to them, but there were a few games where the Yankees played better and the Dodgers just ended up taking advantage of their mistakes in the best way possible.
Yeah,
and they have such a deep team that they're going to do that. So,
were you part of the Rams Super Bowl parade when that happened?
I was not.
Did you attend that? No,
I wanted to. I had a doctor's appointment that day.
Oh, that's so. I was just gonna ask, like, because you're gonna get to see I was gonna say you were gonna get to see the difference between how the baseball fans are versus the football fans.
And it's really not like the Rams didn't have fans there. There was a good amount of people.
They were all Niner fans.
It was in a different. Oh my God! Yeah, there. Unfortunately, we have a lot of Niner Dodger fans here that I'm not too fond of.
Where are you based out of?
I'm like LA County, so I'm a bit more north. I'm not downtown by any means. I'm like a half-hour drive out. Maybe less, honestly, on a good day. But
I also just want to let you guys know. I think that the Texans just punched the ball out and then returned it for a touchdown just now. So.
Oh goodness.
Neville Hewitt, I think that is. I see Hewitt on the back of his jersey. I'm pretty sure that's Neville Hewitt.
Oh my.
But
goodness.
It was a Tyler Conklin fumble.
Anyway.
Yes, Jets.
Anyway, yeah, no. That's just the difference with LA going 22 years without a football team. I do think the Rams are doing a bit of a better job building up their fan base. But
the stadium looks beautiful. That stadium was so fun.
And hey, the real key was making sure it was the Chargers, not the Raiders, that came in. Because if it was the Raiders, you're getting annihilated.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like I honestly, realistic chance I might be a Raider fan by this point, even though that would suck. But yeah, I'm glad that things played out the way they did, especially with the Rams getting the Super Bowl. And the fan base is going to grow over time. That's just how it is. But the Dodgers have been here since 57, I think, 58. And it has been like they have taken like their fan base has gripped this city like none other. So it is going to be incredible. And all I have to say to anyone out there who sees this, celebrate responsibly, please. I have seen footage. I haven't seen the footage, but I've heard that there's footage of a fan that lost part of their hand celebrating with fireworks. Don't do that. Don't be stupid.
Jason Pierre-Paul.
A Ravens legend, by the way.
That is a play stupid games, win stupid prizes type of deal. So don't be dumb. Celebrate.
Why do people feel the need to have fireworks in their hand? Like, set it down on the ground. There were people firing fireworks here. Just set it on the ground. What benefit do you have from having it shoot out of your hand?
I mean, there was the Ravens fan who was so excited about the Commanders win, who he literally just went around knocking Commanders fans out. So, I mean, people all celebrate in their own ways. You know what I mean? I usually just say nice and I move on, but I've never had I've never had the complete just like. It hasn't taken over me to say I need to punch someone out.
I hope he was inebriated, because if you're just walking around punching people and you're not inebriated, I think we have issues. You have issues anyways. Did
you see the fallout of it? He got completely fired from his job as a lawyer.
Oh, what?
He was a lawyer. He was making really good money, and he got completely let go by the law firm. Yeah, and it was bad.
Before we go, got a question for you. Who is the dumber fan? The Ravens fan going around punching people, or the Yankees fan that ripped the ball out of Mookie Betts' glove and got banned from Yankee games for life?
Easily that Yankees fan. What I find dumb about this situation is that there are ESPN articles going around praising that dude. What are we doing as a society? We're praising this guy. Steve Bartman can't show his face in public for 20 years because he made an honest mistake. But then you have this guy literally assaulting Mookie Betts. Like Mookie said to reporters too, that was the second time in his life, in his whole life, where he thought about punching somebody. Like, or something like that.
Full disclosure, I don't watch the sport. You said that. It sounded so asinine to me that I felt the need. The only one other time in my life have I had the inkling to search up baseball. That was when I searched up Prince Fielder for the first time. Right now, you said this to me, and I said, I need to see this. That is insane.
Basically, the gist of it, Mookie has the ball in his glove, and it's near the wall, like in foul territory, and some dumb Yankees fan just like reaches over and tries to pull
season ticket holder, right?
Yeah, season ticket holder, I'm pretty sure. And it's like front row seats of the World Series. That's not cheap at all. He's like trying to like pull the glove open so that the ball will come out. Mookie's trying to get his other hand on the ball too to like secure it, and there's another fan sitting right next to him that's grabbing his wrist and pulling it away. You're stupid. You're there to be a fan. You are there as a spectator. You're not there to be a part of the action. That is
there's some interference that's understandable, and then there's other ones that are just, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah. Like, I can understand, like the Dodgers. I'm amazed that it happened twice in this series, by the way, because in I think it was game 1 or maybe it was game 2. I don't even know.
I think it was Gleyber Torres both times, right?
There was a Dodger fan that like reached over the wall and caught a ball that would have been a routine fly out, so they were awarded a ground rule double. And that guy made an honest mistake. Like he reached out, he thought the ball was coming right at him. He reached out, he grabbed the ball, and then he realized a second later. You could tell by his facial expression. He realized,
I'm banned for life.
I'm banned for life. He's packing his stuff instantly. Like he knows, like, when you go to a baseball game and you bring your glove, just don't be stupid with it. And you're sitting in the front row. Just try
reach over. We're
do
gonna
everything
you
can to not reach over the wall. That is all I have to say. Don't interfere at all, because you're banned for life if you do that.
The guy looks like a thumb. The guy, I'm gonna be so honest. The guy looks like a thumb.
Don't be stupid.
It's a little ridiculous. I didn't realize it was 2 different fans who participated in this. He's literally holding his wrist back.
Apparently, he was friends with Gronk in college.
So Gronk had to praise him. Stop praising this guy. It's stupid. You don't go if you go to a game and you interfere. You deserve to get kicked out. That's just what it is. There are some athletes that I admittedly would love to punch in the face, but I'm not going to do it. So
the Dodgers ended up giving the tickets to little kids.
Yeah,
I believe they gave it to like cancer.
Yeah, the Yankees gave them to a cancer survivor and his family, which is good.
Yes. Yeah. So shout out to the Dodgers.
Happy ending there.
Yeah, I'm hyped. That game could have put me on a ventilator. I'm not gonna lie. I felt like I needed an oxygen tank during that game, but I'm glad the Dodgers were able to pull it off. I'm glad that Ohtani's 1 for 1 so far.
He was horrendous in that.
He played like ass too. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that either.
Like I understand he was hurt, but like the last couple games, but he was 2.5 games of healthy Ohtani, and they still won all 3 games.
Yeah. So I hopefully that shoulder's healthy when he starts pitching next year. So that's crazy too. He's gonna pitch next year.
Oh, yeah. He's got,
but you can't.
WAR.
I will say I literally had this conversation too with a random person in the middle of Dick's Sporting Goods while getting the merch. You can't say he did nothing to get them there. 50-50 season. He played pretty well in the playoffs too. Could he have played better?
I'd love to ask you a question, Jack.
Go ahead.
So as you know, I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but I before the season I did see some headlines about Shohei Ohtani's translator, and I was wondering if you could explain what the hell that was, because I've since that day that I found out that was a thing, I've been confused about what the hell happened.
Okay, so Splash is on a little bit of a time count here, so like we're stop by a certain point, but I'm gonna try and make it a little quick. His former interpreter was accused of going behind his back and stealing money from him because he has a crippling gambling addiction. And
who among us, right? Who among us?
I know, right? That is just what it was. The FBI found out that he stole money from Shohei, and he was fired by the Dodgers. He was punished, and the legal proceedings did what they did. And that's just anyone who says that Shohei was the fall guy in that situation is stupid.
Ippei was the fall guy for Shohei's crippling gambling.
Yeah. No,
how much money did he steal from him?
Like 16 million.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
for the funniest part, for context, Shohei makes $2 million a year.
Deferred
money. So his contract is 10 years, $700 million contract. $680 million that is deferred. So he will be paid that 2034 to 2043, $68 million a year. So as a member of the Dodgers, the next 10 years, he will be making $2 million. I'm looking at Hassaan's face.
He's trying to process all this.
So that is 8 years worth of his salary.
For context, there's no salary cap in the MLB. There's no floor. There's no cap. You can pay people basically however much you want. I don't know.
That, guys, like, this is insane. I have no context of this stuff, and you're telling me that a translator stole 16 mil?
Yes.
My bad.
Yes.
What?
That happened, yes.
I can speak
okay,
Hindi.
So I think the translator, from my understanding, translators sometimes do like money ordeals because he translates, and Shohei has like uses an American bank, has to use American things, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want to buy something, like you need to speak in English. So I understand like the interpreter Ippei having access to like some documents and some like accounts perhaps, but not noticing $16 million is missing. I wish I was that well off financially. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Missing.
Shohei got paid generational wealth, or is getting paid generational wealth. So hopefully that won't make too much of a dent.
I guess.
But yeah, that was just so weird. But that's why he took the massive contract and all that deferred money, because it's a cheat code, sure, but it's legal, and the Dodgers built a contender around him, and hopefully they will have a contender around him.
It's really interesting, actually. It's really interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of a contract structured in that way. Yeah, it sounds really one of a kind.
Yeah, the MLB might have to change their rules because of this deal. Honestly, they might.
Like it's big enough that California.
I'm gonna say this much right now. I am amazed by it as a Dodger fan. If I'm like an Angel fan or a Padre fan or a Giant fan, and I see that contract, I am screaming at the MLB right now.
Mm-hmm. And the Giants, I think, offered him the same. Either the Giants or Angels offered the exact same contract.
Wow.
I think so, yeah.
So, like,
I'll say this much. The Dodgers were smart because this was a long-term project wanting to try and get Shohei Ohtani. They had Kobe Bryant. They had a past video of Kobe Bryant recruiting him to the Dodgers.
So. Wow. That's crazy.
I do feel like that was a little in bad taste, but...
fair enough. Whatever. I can see how you would think that, yeah. But...
yeah, there is a luxury tax, to be clear. So it's not like you can just spend $1 billion and sign everybody. But so the Dodgers have pretty heavy luxury tax payments that they have to make every year. The Mets, Yankees, but they can go down below the threshold. So it's the number of times you cross over the threshold. So you can like reset it, right? So the Dodgers don't reset it. The Yankees really don't reset it. Boston, for example, in recent years has reset it. So they would go over and then they would cut payroll for a year and get back under. But this is your pick in the draft moves back. You lose compensation or you don't get compensation picks.
Yeah.
If you sign free agents or if free agents leave. So this was a Giants issue that if they sign, say, Matt Chapman, they did sign Matt Chapman, but if they didn't sign Matt Chapman, they would have gotten a better compensation pick for whoever's leaving. But if they do sign Chapman, then your picks are getting later and later in the draft, and you're having to like give away picks, and it's a whole ordeal that ends up not mattering if you're the Dodgers and you're signing Shohei Ohtani, right, the best player in the sport.
At a certain point, you're not even caring. You're just like, we're getting him.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
That's
so
just
the Dodgers, the Yankees.
That is
the
literally
it
like froze MLB. Like in that, like that's past offseason. Nobody made a move until Shohei got signed.
Wow.
It literally, he's that like captivating of a player. And
I mean, I've decided to already just start my new my career path here. You guys can see.
I see your name change.
Yeah. So it's come on, man, 16 million.
Those can actually pay a lot, though. So.
No,
also, I'm going to touch on one more thing too before we wrap up. Walker Buehler, first save of his career in the World Series clincher.
Shades of Randy, Chris Sale, Walter Johnson.
The fact that he came out of nowhere to do that was unbelievable, but he did his job and it worked out. So
I do think that was a really I understand it worked out. I get that. I don't think if I were Dave Roberts, I would have done that. I would have like had Buehler for Game 6 or Game 7.
I see the thought process, but at the same time, I feel like the Dodgers also kind of thought we have a chance to win the World Series right here now in 3 outs. So.
Also, most ever games used in a World Series clinching game, they used 8 different pitchers.
That certainly was not the plan, but Jack Flaherty did not look good to start that game. He did not have it that day. So it is what it is. But
Orioles
Dave
legend,
Roberts, I'm gonna actually, this is where I'm gonna end it because I have slandered Dave Roberts like crazy. I'm done. I'm retiring the Dave Roberts slander. He's earned my respect. I don't care what happens in the future. Yes, maybe now and then he'll make a questionable decision that I'll bring up, but 2-time World Series champion as a manager, 3 times as a player.
Down.
Or if you include the one that he won, he's 3-time. But yeah, I'm done slandering Dave Roberts.
Okay, the Dodgers lost Game 7 at home in 2017. We were gonna point that out. They scored 1 run in that game at home.
But it doesn't get to Game 7 if the Astros don't cheat.
That's a good point. Maybe.
I appreciate you guys having me on, guys. I really do. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun talking sports. I was telling Splash a little bit before this. I was like, man, just let me out there. I know I'll be able to talk about football nonstop for hours. I'll just start yapping. So appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, we could go on and on. I look forward to further yapping sessions.
And you will get an angry letter in the mail from Alex. Who I do the baseball podcast with. So be prepared for that one.
Because I called Jack.
It will be fine though because I'm invading your guys' baseball podcast.
Yes, that's true. I think we will be recording tomorrow though, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be at the parade tomorrow, but
okay, it'll be later in the.
Yeah, he doesn't have a doctor's appointment tomorrow.
No, that's all clear. I've cleared all that up. Barring an emergency, we're good to go. Yeah. So
breaking: Jack goes to hospital, misses parade.
God, I'm gonna scream. All right.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yep, no problem. And that's gonna wrap up episode number 101. Be sure to follow us on social media platforms, specifically X/Twitter, at the Sports Desk 99. Splash and I have our handle. Let me bring that up real quick. StreamYard changed.
Hassaan, do you have anything to plug?
Only my OnlyFans. My OnlyFans.
Oh boy.
No, you can talk football with me on Instagram, I guess. I don't know. There's really nothing to plug. Don't text me. Don't text me, guys. Don't reach out to me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Only send carrier pigeons.
Follow us on the channel. Subscribe to the channel. I say it every week. At some point, we're gonna fire up the content on here. Where we'll be more than just a podcast, but we'll get.
Hey, baseball season's over, so I have more time.
It is, yeah. So, all right. We'll see you guys next week. Aaron Donald trains with knives. Peace.
Toodles.